Welcome on into the Utah Blockcast. I'm Steve Bartle, Utah Insider for KSL Sports. Back on another special edition episode of Runnin It Back, where we talk to Utah basketball players. Last week we talked to Keanu Dawes. This week we got one of the transfers, Elijah Choppa, who entered the transfer portal from Syracuse, and we went in depth on his decision to come to Utah. What was the biggest factor, and what were some of the other contributing factors? We also talked quite a bit about this offseason, what it's been like acclimating into a new program and into a totally new environment here in Salt Lake City. So Elijah had a lot of really interesting things to share. So I don't want to waste too much time. Let's go ahead. Let's get to my interview with Elijah Choppa here. All right, I'm excited for this one. Welcome back into the Utah Blockcast. Another special Runnin' Utes interview, this time with Elijah Choppa, the new shooting guard for the Runnin' Utes. Elijah joined the program this offseason. I'm excited to talk to him. Elijah, thanks so much for taking some time to hop on the Utah Blockcast.
For sure. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Definitely, man. I interacting with a lot of Utah fans. I know that there's a lot of excitement for the program and seeing all the clips and all the videos and all the social media posts. I think it's just the excitement continues to grow and all of that. How excited are you guys for that action to get going?
We're really excited. We've been here, some schools do one session. We did 2 sessions in the summer. So we were here all summer, then took a little break, came back. We've been just going at it in the weight room with Coach Short, and then, individually with our coaches, and then, having, the little team practice that we have been having. But we're excited and we're ready to go.
Love that, man. I think there's a lot of excitement, and we'll circle back to that, throughout the podcast. But I think there's just a lot of intrigue about seeing this team come together. So you talked about getting here in the summer, and obviously you hit the transfer portal in the spring and committed to Utah ultimately, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But just how has that process been of acclimating to a new basketball program and a new environment here in Salt Lake City?
Well, originally I'm from New York City. So the transition from New York City to Syracuse wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
My last university. And then entering the transfer portal and figuring out where I was going to go, and then landing in Utah is like a whole different type of space and energy. But it's good energy and it's a good space, and I enjoy the people here. People at the school are amazing. They're very supportive, and they let me know whatever I need, they're there to support me. So it means a lot. And it was different, just even the thought of it for my family and friends. But I know that the people that truly care about me are going to support me, even though I'm out here. So, yeah.
Right. That's great, man. So obviously you mentioned you being from New York, and I'd be curious, man, because I grew up watching, the N1 Hoop mixtape and all that stuff, and that's sort of my exposure to basketball back east. But for you, what was that like, growing up playing hoops in New York, and just how would you describe New York basketball?
I feel like New York basketball is like no other. Like when you watch videos or you it's like one thing, but being there, the environment, the energy of just everyone just all together is so different than regular just basketball, especially park basketball. It's just so different. And when I was younger, I played a lot of park basketball. As I got older, it wasn't my thing. But I definitely, think that New York basketball is something that is unlike anything else. I feel like being there is something that you have to really be there to see everything, but that's just the truth. And then high school basketball, playing high school, my first 3 years I played it at the university at Cardinal Hayes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just a great experience, going through COVID my freshman year and only playing 7 games and before we had to play playoffs and then go to championship and win. Then 2 years after that, playing and championship games at St. John's or championship games, whatever. It's like people being there supporting, the excitement. It was almost like college basketball, but just in high school. So
yeah. And there's a stronger East Coast flavor with this Runnin' Utes squad. How would you describe kind of how that's translated here at Utah?
We got a lot of people at the transfer portal, and I was, well, I would say like one of the first four people to
Yeah.
commit, because we
Yeah.
like a clean slate, and then they kind of just like picked, who they wanted and stuff like that. But like once I was here, I kind of just was like trying to see, coach was like, yo, who do you want to play against? Yada yada, like play with, yada yada yada, and like
Hmm.
we started looking at other people, and like one person that I thought about that was like thinking about going into the transfer portal was like my teammate now, Seydu. We went to
Yeah.
high school together, went to the same high school, obviously Lutheran, and I was like, yo, come on, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's bring this vibe, let's bring this energy to Utah, and let's like, show people like, we're big in just the East Coast.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's way cool. And so you mentioned the transfer portal. Let's go back to your time and sort of talk about Utah's recruitment of you, right? You hit the transfer portal from Syracuse. I'd be curious to hear, how that process began. What was that where was that connection to the program, and just what was their message to you in wanting to bring you into Utah?
Well, Coach Chill was a scout for Memphis Grizzlies, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not pretty sure. And he came to one of our practices like in the beginning of the school year. And he had seen me practicing, he seen me playing, then he seen me like, I guess he says like I stayed after and worked out, and to see my energy and who I was as a person, and talk to the coaches about me when he was scouting. And then when he had got the job, and he was like thinking about players and like people that would bring a certain level of energy and just like commitment to the program, he said he thought about me. And then once I entered the transfer portal, like they had reached out to my people and whatever the case may be, and that's kind of how the ball got rolling.
Yeah. Love that. And so you took a visit here, when you got here and you first got up, on campus, and sort of taking all of that in on your official visit. What were your first impressions of, the program, the staff, Salt Lake City in general?
Well, I was on my visit with TB Terrence Brown,
Oh
our
yeah.
point guard. So like seeing his energy and like, he was committed before he even took the visit. So we
Oh
were on the
wow.
visit together. He was kind of just experiencing and seeing like what it was really gonna be. Um, and so going through it with him and having someone that like matched my energy as a person was like that was a good start to everything. And then talking to Coach Jensen and seeing like how smart he is and how he looks at the game and how he can implement my game into Utah's brand of basketball that he's trying to bring here, and like how like what he did to win over his years of even being here and being a coach
Yep.
over the years was like very interesting to me. Our GM Wes Wilcox, I liked his perspective on just life and just how he looked at life and certain things. So that was like something that I like was interested in, and like now I take pride knowing that like he's gonna help teach me certain things, which just that are bigger than basketball, kind of like the
Yeah.
life part of things. Coach Ed being here, his energy was cool. I always thought he was funny with his mannerisms, but like, that's my guy, like, whatever. And then, Coach Chill, that's like, from when I back at Syracuse and talking to
Yeah.
him, like, seeing how like what he thought about me and how he can like help me with my game, stuff like that, and how they're gonna allow me to like, make mistakes, do certain things, like play and work through like my problems while also like understanding that they gotta be on me about certain things. So
Yeah.
I think those are the certain connections and relationships that I have with the coaches, just coming, taking a visit during my recruitment on Zoom meetings for hours and longer than that. And then getting here, seeing the facilities, where I could possibly be living and stuff like that. I just thought it was gonna be a good fit.
Yeah. No, and that's great. So you sort of walk through your entire process, right, of coming to your decision. Would you say that, Alex Jensen and Wes Wilcox, their sort of vision in terms of, how they sort of their plan and their development of you, would that be the biggest reason for your decision to commit to Utah? Or what would you say was the single biggest factor for your commitment?
Well, when I talked to Coach, like he like basically let me know that I was gonna be able to play. Like the biggest
Yeah.
thing for me in my decision was I want to play. Like
Yeah.
I know people like leave schools for money. People do certain things because they know somebody. Like I wasn't trying to make them like, not to say a mistake, but go somewhere and like be there for money or be there for
Right.
whatever
For
other
the
reason.
wrong reasons.
Yeah, basically. And he was like, "Yo, we're gonna play. We're gonna do this. We're gonna implement this in our offense. We're gonna get it on you about certain things, but we know you're the type of person that's gonna just take it and work through it." And like I was like, okay, like that was the most important to me. And
Yeah.
like seeing the offensive, scheme and stuff like that was like when I had sat back on my dad and like looked at it, I was like, I could see myself being there, being successful, helping this team and program, become a winning program again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. And obviously you're a key piece, an early focal point of their recruiting efforts, like you said, right? You were one of the earlier ones to commit. And so, for you, you got here in the summer and we sort of talked about what it's been like acclimating to the program and the new environment. But, for you, you're going into your second year at the college level and you're coming to a program like, as you said, is trying to take that next step and try to, elevate as a program. And I think you've brought in a lot of talent. But for you, what's been the area of focus for you in your game? Like, where do you feel you've emphasized your work, and where do you feel like you've gained confidence in your game?
I mean, obviously everyone knows I can shoot.
Yeah.
I think that's, without being said, but like, I've learned a lot at my year at Syracuse, defensively, offensively, about how college basketball is played, and a lot of like tips and tricks to be successful.
Hmm.
So I've kind of honed down on it. I've done more watching film over the summer with my dad, and just like understanding like there's some things that in high school don't work in college, and there's something that in high school that do. And there's certain parts of my game that I have to like lean on and understand like that's my strength. Let
Yeah.
me, you know, do my strength and then add to it to be a better player. This summer I kind of just been like working on overall my whole game, getting to the basket, finishing, shooting from deeper, shooting more shots off the dribble, um, and stuff like that. And then just watching film defensively to understand, when to be in help, when to be in the gap, when to get back to my man, certain things, how to guard the pick and roll, how to go against how people are guarding pick and rolls, and all those other things that I've just kind of just sat back and studied and done more homework on. I think it was more of understanding than like my ability to actually do it.
Yeah.
I think that like when you're in high school, sometimes everything is just like, and like that's not college basketball. Everything is more sat
Right.
back, gone through, looked at, understood. Okay, they're gonna hedge, or they're gonna ice it, or they're gonna just switch, and understand like what to do in those situations is what was more important for me this summer. So yeah.
That's awesome. And I want to ask you, uh, you've mentioned your dad a couple times, and there was a video that the program put out recently. Then you talked about your dad. Can you talk to your relationship and just how important he is in your development as a basketball player over the years?
Yeah, my dad is like my everything. I mean, my little sister is my everything as well. But like
Yeah.
when it comes to a parent who like person that has been there and like has done everything for me, it's been my dad. My dad's been my mom and my dad. When it comes to just teaching me things and how to be a man, to coaching me on the basketball court, and how to shoot a 3-pointer. Like he's done everything, and when no one believed, he believed. When people started believing, he believed. When people stopped believing, he believed. He was always there.
Yeah.
So he's kind of just been someone that's always been in my corner, and I've respected and listened to, because yeah, like he's been there. He's like proven that like he's someone I can go to and ask for help with regardless of whatever it is.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I appreciate you taking the time to answer that one. We'll get to just a couple more here. You talk about your strength as a shooter, so maybe this question isn't best. I was going to ask you who's the best shooter on the squad, but maybe it's more appropriate to ask who's the second best shooter on the squad.
Second best shooter, I'm gonna say Jake.
Okay.
Through our
Yeah.
youth 100, it's like 100 threes and like lifts, catch and shoot, fades, flares, whatever. Um, I'm always first.
Yeah.
But
Of
he
course.
he's like there. He competes, so
Yeah.
I'll give it to Jake because I can tell that he takes pride in his ability to shoot as well.
That's awesome. That's great. I think, yeah, we're excited to see that. And so last one here for you, Chopper. Circling back to that opening question with, the excitement for the program within the fan base. If you had to share a message to Running Ute fans, what would that message be?
To all the Running U fans, I'm excited to be in Utah. I'm excited to be here and compete and bring back the fun in Utah basketball. I know that I'm gonna push my team to work really, really hard so that when we go out there and we perform in front of you guys can enjoy yourselves and not have to leave games early or be upset because you get win. I don't want that to be the case this
Yeah.
year. I want Utah fans to be like, yo, we play Friday. Everyone got to make sure we there. Like I want that energy to be like I want it to be the talk of the town. That's what I want. And I love and appreciate Utah for bringing me into their home and allowing me to play for their program. And I just want everyone to come support and show love so that we know that we got you guys behind our backs.
Choppa, man, I think that's the perfect way to end an interview. I think, again, continuing to build the excitement for the basketball program. It sounds like you guys are focused on the work and doing a lot of good things, within the community and within the program to get that Running Youth basketball back to what we knew it as, back in the day. So, Choppa, man, appreciate the time. You hopping on today. This has been great. Really excited to see you guys in action for sure.
For sure. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Go Utes.